resigning. The election that we've run is absolutely as per the state law in section 67 and the bylaws. We'll be talking later about the bylaws, not here, but in the board members meeting that follows directly after this. This one should be relatively clean, but this is your meeting. This is the members' annual meeting. The board will have its annual meeting directly after that. And thanks, Patty, for bringing in a sign-in sheet. Like a space cadet, I realize there are always a few things that are missing. But so we've called it, starting up at 22.
You want to ask if anybody else wants to sign in? This is the speak.
Ah, good. Are there any other people who would like to sign in for the comment section? Good. Excellent. Because this is a members' meeting, the quorum is not decided by the presence of the board. We are just here to be able to administer. The quorum is decided by the members itself. And the state law and our bylaws says that the quorum is decided at the annual meeting, by the number of members who are present. Present is defined as the count of people who voted before in the mail, and hopefully all of you, there were 6 or 7 that the mail decided, the post office decided not to send them, but the people who voted before, that's a count. And then the people who would be voting now, that's another count. Frank Riley has given me the number already for the ballots that were received, and Frank, since I'm a senior citizen, what's that number again?
What was it, 106?
Plus 1, I didn't vote.
No, this is mailing.
Oh.
So Frank, the number of mail-in ballots?
There were 104, but one was disqualified due to non-payment, so 103 mailed in and 27 checked in today.
Great. Outstanding. Based on that.
24 checked in today.
Okay, 24. Good. So that puts us at 127 as the quorum. If the members would be voting on any activities today, a majority of the quorum is what would be required to be affirmative to pass that item. The bylaws has a number of errors in it that we know about, roughly about 25, just to round it off as a round number. But so the meeting is now open because we do have a quorum, and the quorum number is defined as 127. The next thing on the posted agenda is that each one of the candidates would be allowed to campaign for 5 minutes. We're going to say that we don't need to do that and gain that time. So the next thing it would be on the list is where if we were in fact doing voting in person here, and everybody who is a valid member is allowed to do that. You can either vote before or during. Then we would be calling for the last ballots, and Frank, as our independent election auditor, will be collecting those and taking those back to the crew that's been strong in the past on these. We're not going to need to do that because we have the count. The next item is public comments, and we have a public comment sheet up here. For lack of any other way, we'll just use the order of the sign-up, unless somebody would like to shift and speak a little later. Josie Fuller is the first.
Wow, I can't believe how tame this meeting is. I gotta tell you, it's a blessing. I just want to thank all those who stood up in this community, which is why we won the PUC case. We won the battle, but not the war. Make no mistake. At this point, I'm concerned still for the community, given the last 4 years. Remember, all this started with a prior director found guilty of misconduct for sale of the land owned by the water company. Then it continued with directors who allowed it to happen and leading the members to foot the bill for their misconduct and mismanagement. Plus, remember, the water company gave Dana the right-of-way or a airport runway property for free in 2019. Can you imagine where we would be? Many of you are maybe new and don't understand the issues. I recommend that you remember how much money was lost to pay for unnecessary legal fees. Patty, Danny, and others have spent a lot of time and money out of their own pockets. There's a difference between us and what the prior board was. And that includes Dana. And Dana's here to make money, make no mistake. We're here trying to do the right thing by the community, if you have any questions. If PUC, Patty and Danny had not stepped in, and I had not intervened, we would continue to pay higher rates, and God knows where the money was going. If you recall, Joe Jimenez was trying to increase the water rates another $50 based through a tariff. Now we're dealing with an additional $200,000 PUC docket for another $200,000 that LG has filed on behalf of the current board. Now, I'm not blaming anybody. Jeff said he did not authorize it, so let's go forward. I recommend that we file a detailed statement on the PUC open docket for the commissioners to review, which could sever the fees, okay? And then, it's obvious tensions are running high. I get it, okay? Step into each person's shoes, because that's exactly where we're at right now. And if we don't come together, I guarantee you we're not going to get very far. So, there's so much to be done, and it will take everybody in this room. After the town hall meeting, I had a conversation with Merritt. Now, we were talking about several things at the town hall meeting, which a lot of you were not there. But I will tell you, I called Merritt and I asked her about lowering the rates prior to the final order coming out. Now, she mentioned she is not recommending, lowering the rates prior to the final order. Also, she mentioned she was not sure what the outcome would be. So I want that to be a very point of reference here.
Josie, could you explain to people who might not know who Merritt is and
Merritt's
who LG is?
Okay, LG is Lloyd Gosling, attorney, and thank you, Mary. And Merritt is the PUC representing, she's a law attorney with PUC that has been in this case for 4 years. So she's pretty familiar with it. So I talked to her, and anybody, as Jeff said, can call Merritt, okay? I have her number. I'd be more than happy to give it to any of you. She said she's not recommending that we settle. I have to wonder why the push to compromise when the commissioners already ruled on our favor. We will update members on final order, which should be out in March. Now, I agree with Sue. Patty does need to be on the board for several reasons. She is experienced, has legal knowledge, not to mention her hard work and dedication. I can't imagine where we would be if Patty and Danny had not stepped up to do the right thing for this community. I would ask the board to form committees. The board is we still have land assets. That's what's keeping us going, because our infrastructure is so bad. I don't know if you're familiar with what's going on in this community, but breakage is happening everywhere. And it's because our system.
Josie, your time? Is there anyone who would like to donate the time?
Okay.
Great.
All right. Thank you, Ellen. Still has land assets. I think it's a conflict of interest given the board, the current board owns property in the airport, to be involved in any aspect of the selling of the 6 acres. Please keep in mind these assets can be used for upgrading our infrastructure. Jeff mentioned at the town hall that the estimate can be upwards of $1 million. $1 million to fix our infrastructure. I do agree with selling the land, but we have time. Mr. Malden is correct. There are grants out there that can be used to upgrade or replace our infrastructure. If these things don't happen, then I don't know what to say. I really don't. At this point, members need to decide. Where do we go from here? Do we want an IOU? Or do you want to keep the water company? Do you think a board of directors can manage and do the right thing by the members without personal agendas? Because that's what we've had in the past. The good book says, keep a watchful eye out. Do not be led by evil or corruption. They will steal you blind, and you will not realize it until you're left with the damages and money out of your own pocket. Remember, bad things happen when good people stand by and do nothing. Thank you.
Patty. Oh, hang on a second.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to get that deal on the record for accounts.
Yeah. Well done.
Thank you, always.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Patty.
She wants to see whatever time she had left.
Oh, yeah, a minute.
Finished, started at 32, finished at 33. You had 2 more minutes.
Thank you.
Out of Alan's. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to lose my place.
School teacher.
Okay.
Where does it gavel?
Recess in 1 hour. Okay. I'm Patty Plunkett. Most of you guys know me. If you don't, I am one of the ratepayer representatives with Josie Fuller. Thank you. Last 4 years. Woo! Roller coaster. Oh, okay. Never been accused of talking well. I have here a handout that goes over everything in a concise manner of the rates, refunds, surcharges, everything. So Josie, will you hand these out for me? If you could just wait until I'm done to ask questions, I am more than happy to answer any question you may have on this. Let's see. I only have 29 there, Josie.
Okay.
So maybe people can share.
Sure.
Oh, do you guys have, make sure, Renee.
One for the record.
Josie, can you give one to the board, please?
Oh, yeah.
One.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
One. Right down the bottom.
Are we ready? I'll go ahead and get started. So when you're looking at this, the first page should be the heading Ratepayer Representative New Rate Calculation. And as a ratepayer representative being involved with this for 4 years, it just happened. I'm a walking, talking encyclopedia when it comes to this. The number of pages of discoveries and everything must be like, I don't know, 50,000 pages, of which I had to read all of those pages. We were overwhelmed with lots of stuff. But in order to move forward and know what's going on, we had to read it. So with that being said, in case you're not aware of this, there's 3 types of customers in Windermere. Number 1, there's water and sewer customers. There's 2, just people that take water service. And 3, there's people that just take sewer service. So just keep that in mind as I move forward with this. If you look at the highlighted orange part, new rates, these are the new rates that are going to come out. And just as a side note, we are on the agenda for a final ruling for the March 7th PUC Commissioners meeting. I just found that out yesterday. So with that being said, water, the new rates are going to be $40. If you look, I put it in columns. Water and sewer customers, water customer, and then sewer customers on the right side of the margin. So if you are taking water and sewer, your total bill is going to be $70.83. If you're just a water customer, your bill is going to be $40.77. Sewer, $30.06. Move down to the next one, orange, surcharge. The surcharge for the legal fees for the rate appeal. We fought not to have them, but they got awarded $478,000. The surcharge is $39.21. Just move across, that's for everyone. Doesn't matter, water and sewer, water or sewer. So that's that. You move down to the total new rates and the surcharge. So you're looking at $110.04 for your rates, including the fee for the surcharge, and then $79.98 for water, $62.27 for sewer. Refunds, what do you have coming back to you? For water, you have $43.59, sewer, $32.03. Total refund is $75.62. Just go across and you'll see for water and sewer, so their refund is $43.59 and $32.03 for sewer. Now we get down to the good stuff. What is the final rate that you're going to be paying? And keep in mind, as a side note, these are base rates. This is just to have this is just to have water service.
Yeah, Patty, Tom has donated time, so you're on Tom's now.
Okay. So the final rate calculation, including the new rates and surcharges and refunds. This is the last highlighted orange part. So your total new rates plus the surcharge, bringing it down from that green column, is $110.04. You subtract the refund, $75.62, and if you are a water and sewer customer, you're paying $34.42 a month just to have water, not including tier rates. Water, you're $36.39, and sewer, you're $37.24. So look at that asterisk I have on the bottom. These are the new rates only for the ratepayers that have paid the old rates since their inception. If you came on the second year into the rate increase, or the third, or just last year, your refund should match the year that you came on. So for the first year they charged those rates. If you weren't paying that, then you should not get that refund. It should go in a line matching month by month, by year. So unfortunately, I know some people may not be happy about this, but if you didn't come on and start paying 2 years into it, you will have to pay that surcharge, but you won't get the refund. That's how it works with the numbers. You will get the refund, but it'll be down the road. So all others will pay the rates of the total rate surcharge, see below. So you'll see it's $110 that you'll pay. Water, you'll pay $79.98. Sewer, you'll pay $69.27. So how does this work then? Number one, the WOWC, how does this all play out? The WOWC, the water company, will need to look at each month of billing beginning with the old rates. So they'll have to do, because this was in the rate appeal, they submitted all the billing for each month for years. So we have it, if we don't have those records, we have it in the rate appeal. And so you look at who was a customer that month. All those people that are still customers are the ones paying the new rates and the surcharge with the refund in it. Sounds tedious, I get it, but it has to be done in order to make sure everybody's paying the correct rate. On the opposite side, the other side, number 2, those who were customers, so I already explained that one. 3, those who were not customers, I already explained that one. 4, this is what I recommend to the board. The WOWC will need to put together a committee of volunteers to look at each month so they can compare that to the current customers to determine who pays what rate. I kind of crunched the numbers and I'm just like, okay, for me, what would that take? Looking at who are the customers and who are the customers today. And I was like, okay, that's 2-3 hours to do just 1 month. I thought, wow, there's no way the board can do this, or the assistant. We need to have a committee do this, and people that actually know this. So I suggest we get people in the community to get on a committee that know who are, have a good understanding, have been here for years, or even new people. But go through that, and there's nothing confidential about it. because we are member-owned, we're a nonprofit, that we are allowed to see that information of gallons and what they were charged. It's outside vendors that can't see that information. So that's my recommendation to get this going. The PC Commission will approve this at their March 7th meeting. At that meeting, the order will say it's effective April 1st, so they'll go through, everybody will be charged the new rates in April, but the bills don't come out until the end of April. So you have time to work on it. So we have a committee that you can get together. If you start that committee, I don't know, today, or get those people to sign up, they can hit the ground running and hopefully knock this out in the next 3 weeks, hopefully. Then also, if we're taking in additional money right now, we need to set that money aside and put it in a reserve account for the overcharge that we're doing right now. Another thing is the bylaws and the tariff do not allow for a surcharge. So you're gonna have to figure that out. You're gonna have to, the new attorneys look at that. And if that means, you know, the bylaws have to be changed, they have to be changed to allow for the board to do that. So revenues, let's talk about revenues, and I'll touch on it real quick because I know I'm rambling. To determine the revenue that we're bringing in, and I know there was a handout on Tuesday, but there was some information missing in there. We actually have 302 water taps and 282 sewer taps. Well, they don't really have taps. But that's information that the previous board put forward to the PUC. And that's in, I think, one of the dockets. I'm not sure which one now. There's 3 dockets. So that's their numbers. So per the PUC staff, it doesn't matter if some of these taps belong to the water company. They still have to be included to crunch the numbers of just revenue and everything. So the monthly base rate revenue, we have 271 water and sewer taps. We have 31 just water, and we have 11 just sewer. Based on just the base rates, you look at what we're charging, you're gonna bring in $10,000, almost $11,000 a month. Keep in mind, this doesn't include the people that don't get the refund. So that 10,000 is probably gonna be more in the 15,000, maybe even more, I don't know. But also you're not including the monthly tier rates. So in the PUC rate appeal, it was determined, and it really doesn't matter because it stays the same year to year because the tier rates didn't go up. We consistently bring in about $100,000 in tier rates. And that is, after you turn on your faucet, that water coming out, you're being charged for that water now. The base rate is just to have water service.
For the year,
No, so you bring in $100,000 per year for it. What that breaks down to, it's for water, $7,000, for sewer, like $4,600. So the amount is $11,535. You put those two together, you're bringing in $22,400 a month. And these are firm numbers. I'm not pulling this out of the sky. So that's your revenue. And this doesn't include late fees, standby fees, equity buy-in fees, miscellaneous income, and investment income. And I'm thinking that eventually that'll be bumped up to $30,000 that you'll be bringing in. You take that $30,000, you times it by 12, you get $360,000 a year. That is what the PUC commissioners came in at. 368 or 370, I think they said. So we are right on target, and we're fine. We can pay our bills, and we can keep the lights on with these new rates, contrary to what you heard. That's it.
All right. Thanks, Patty.
I have a question. How long is the legal surcharge for?
45 months.
45 months.
It matches the rates.
Yeah, the 478.
It matches the rates. But you need to understand this is that surcharge goes to the corporation, which is us. The way the commission looks at it is that's having to do with money already paid out to Lloyd Gosling. So that surcharge is not, typically that surcharge makes the corporation whole. Look at it that way, we're making the corporation whole. The whole Lloyd Gosling, paying them and all that, completely different. Don't even, in a rate appeal, the surcharge is making the company whole to pay them back money out of their pocket. So, questions?
Patty, what if they pull the surcharge out and put that in the other docket? I've heard rumors to that effect, that they won't allow.
I talked to
citizens-
Merritt yesterday. Merritt's the attorney I've worked with
Yeah.
for 4 years with the PUC, Merritt Lander. And just as a side note, I talked to her yesterday. Nobody's supposed to call her. So, yeah, please don't say that. She just, that's not how it is.
But I just let you know that she told me if anybody in the audience wanted to talk about this rate case, she told me the same thing. She
Yeah. I
handed out,
clarified that
she'd like to do it on a conference call, but she did say, don't hand out her
She
number.
said what she would do is if we have a
Yeah,
meeting, she'd
exactly.
be more than happy if someone
Exactly.
phoned
Right.
her and you put her on speaker.
Right. To
But
clarify.
not individually.
Right.
So super awesome attorney. So yes, I talked with her yesterday and we talked it out and she's like, yeah, I'm wrong. No.
They can't pull that out.
They
Because
can't pull
earlier
it
in the
out.
week when I spoke to her,
No,
she said
no.
there is a risk they pull that out and
No, it's not.
hand that in a new docket.
It's not
And I'm
gonna
like, God, talk about killing me.
No.
Or killing us if you don't get that 39 bucks.
It's a final order.
Yeah.
It's a final order and we can discuss that other docket down the road. We don't need to discuss that today. It could be that it doesn't even go anywhere.
Right.
You know, which hopefully that might happen. And that's it. Any other questions? Jeanette?
Yes, at the town meeting the other day, Jeff was talking to a lot of us about that we might have the opportunity to forego our refund. And I'm just wondering how that works out, because I feel like if we're getting a refund, we should receive our refund.
I think what people need to understand is a final order from the commission is really, I don't say no different. I mean, it is different, but it is, in comparison, it's no different than a final order from a judge within a district court case. And so that's a final order in that the utility has to do that. And there can't be a vote to say we're not going to do it or anything like that. It's a final order, and you don't want to be in violation of a final order because then PUC can pull you in, and then there's a violation on a final order. And the last thing you want is a violation from PUC because you're not following the final order. If somebody just wants to say, I'm not taking it, well, sure, they can do that. But they would probably have to sign some kind of affidavit, have it notarized, that they're foregoing. But that's up to whoever. That's
Right.
whoever wants to do that.
What you do, since we're a nonprofit corporation, you set up a donation. You can donate money now if you wanted to. If you really wanted to. It's not. No, I'm just saying you can't. So you can take your refund and say, we're going to put it in a separate account and we will account for it. And we could use that for capital improvement projects. We only use
You
it.
gotta be very careful because we're a 501c12, and as a 501c12, donations are treated.
And they're taxable.
Yeah, you just gotta be careful.
Yeah, you just got to be careful about where we're going to use it. But it is possible to take that.
But, I mean, yeah, we can talk about that later. Any other questions?
In other words, what happens to the people that have a hard time tracking down?
So, it's just like any utility, when there's a deposit and they leave a deposit, it's no different. That money is earmarked for that customer, and that customer is entitled to that refund. And so, if you make several attempts to find that customer, they don't forego that money. You have to put it in a reserve account, and after so long, then you have to get with the state comptroller, and you have to inform the state comptroller of that, and then they have to get the money from the state comptroller. I think everybody's pretty sure of that. Like sometimes you'll go on, you're like, oh wow, I've got some money that's sitting with the state controller. Same exact thing here. That money is not our money. It's not the corporation's money. It's that customer's money that overpaid. So the corporation is not entitled to it. And once again, it's revenue that comes back to us. Think in terms of the 501c12. Where do you put that on the taxes? Because we're this unique type of utility, every dollar has to be answered for. You just can't, it's not play money.
Right.
Everything has a reason. And while we can make a small profit, the balance at the bottom, I mean, we should kind of zero out, if not maybe, I don't know, $100. It shouldn't be negative, and we shouldn't be really fluid. And when you bring in these things and you're talking about that, like donations and this and that, you're getting into some really areas of red on how we're supposed to be functioning. And you just don't want to do that. You just want to do it. We're just supposed to be operating as a utility, providing water and sewer. That's it. No profits, no nothing. We're not in that business.
Because of tax implications.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, so there's an 85-15% rule with the IRS for this type of utility. When you start to bring in income that's more than 15%, you now have to pay taxes on it. And so, I wasn't gonna bring this up, but I will. We've got an issue this past year. We took in a $678,000 check in a settlement in the insurance lawsuit. And so, it should not have been set up to go straight to the water company and then for the water company to divvy out to the attorneys. Typically in insurance, when you get with the insurance company and there's a claim and all that, whatever, there's a settlement, that check is written straight to the attorneys. It goes to the people. That didn't happen here. So that was income that came to the water company, and now with the taxes, we have to identify that $678,000 is not member income. Because it's not. It's subject to a 20% tax. And that's what I mean when we're supposed to be operating correctly. And had they set up, and there's no one here from the previous board to answer this, but had they told the Allied Insurance who cut the check, because they did have I don't know what it was a document they gave to Allied that said, okay, Lloyd Gosling gets 300, Enoch attorneys get 200, and this gets this. Well, they should have given that to them so they could write the check to those attorneys.
Yep.
They didn't. They had the check written to them. They were so happy about it. They actually had they won the lottery. They took a picture like, hey, we got this. No joke. And so they had the money, and I honestly don't know where that money is, where it went, how it was cut. Not making accusations, but I'm just saying the tax implications here are bad now. So by me saying that, I'm sorry that I brought this up, and I've talked to attorneys about this. This means who's ever putting their name on the taxes for the 2023 taxes needs to do them right, because we can't do this anymore. It's tax fraud.
Absolutely. That's why we have a new CPA firm. We'll talk about that.
Right. And it just goes back to, guys,
Yeah.
we just need to run a water utility and get out of all this crazy stuff. Just provide water and sewer service at cost, period, end of story.
Thank you.
I was just curious, because of all the water repairs that we've had recently, is it because of our antiquated system, or is it because Spectrum drilled into
Patty, can I take that? You mind?
Well, I'll add.
Go ahead.
So it is 30 years, so the life of infrastructure for a utility is anywhere from 30 to 40 years, depending upon what year they put it in. As we know, it was put in back in, what, the 70s? So, yeah, I mean, we're seeing that. Then you have issues of pressure. The more people tapping into it, the more pressure you have, and then of course you have to keep that PSI a requirement to have pressure for people. So, yeah, I mean, it's a combination of a whole bunch of things, but, however, there are, like it was brought up, grants. I know of several grants that we can apply for there's 0% loans, and typically they give that to utilities that need to upgrade their infrastructure. So I have got all those resources. Texas Water Development Board has what they call a line leak detection device that they allow you to use for free, and it will find all the leaks in your system. It will find where the low pressure is. Typically when you have the low pressure, that's where you have the leaks. So there's just so many resources out there. We need to tap in and we need to move forward, and I can go on and on, but I won't.
Let me expand on that. Let me just expand on that, because
No more questions?
I worked closely with AWR, that's our new service provider. Majority of the leaks, like Mark Carpenter's, outside of Mark Carpenter's house, there's some of them are, it's just caused by nature. This was a tree root. Came out, busted it one day, didn't know about it. The last one that we had was the same. I mean, the one right in front of Renee's was underground, under the pavement. It just, a lot of it, some of it has to do with the drought. I'm in the construction business, and some of it has to do with the grout. The ground settles, you miss those pipes. It's always at a connection point to something else, like a T or a Y. It's always at that most vulnerable part. And that's what's been breaking. Yes, there was several by Spectrum. They fixed them right away, but these recent ones, the big ones, are all coming from our old infrastructure. I don't want to talk about this at the board meeting. AWR, who's our nurse service provider, will be coming to our next board meeting in March and walking through all the issues that they've seen at our plant since they've been on board with us for 6 months.
Okay.
So they've done an initial walkthrough. They're going to come in with a big report and tell us what we need to focus on, what's missing, what's wrong, what we need to, our guidelines for us. These people are really sharp. Renee and I have had numerous meetings with them over the last quarter about that.
So you don't think Spectrum has caused any?
They did. I'm not saying that they did, but they fixed them. Yeah,
And
they caused
they're
them.
responsible for
Yeah,
that?
they were responsible for those and so on.
Because the last fix was on between 506 and 526, where I live, and my water pressure has been very low. In my kitchen only, which I can't figure out, so.
Send up a service request. Call the number and let's put a service request in on it.
Yeah,
And send me an email.
But they fixed it, they fixed whatever was wrong outside.
Right.
Okay, and I'll
Yeah.
do that.
I want to go back to Patty's comment about these. Give me 1 second, Brian.
Point of order,
Oh,
if you don't mind.
go.
So, I'm here because of a members meeting, I understand that, and I'm here because of a published agenda, right? So our agenda at this point is 3 minutes per person, have a chance to speak, and then we get on with the agenda. So, I mean, Patty's a wealth of knowledge. We could be here for a long, long time with a question and answer period.
Fair
I'm
enough.
just asking that we get back to the agenda.
Okay, fair enough. I'll save that, some of the things for her.
Thank you.
Let's see. Oh, go ahead.
A small add to Brian. As it turns out, Brian, says Patty did ask to have a listed point to be able to update this on the PUC, and unfortunately, it fell off that table with one of my many notes.
Okay.
But anyway, so it was requested.
No,
but,
it's all good. It's all
right,
good.
but you're right. We need to keep on the time.
Thanks so much.
Bruce. Sign up sheet to speak.
Oh, all I'll say is it's been a long time since we had a civilized meeting. This is great. In 2018, they raised the water rates in one day, 71%, the second highest rate increase in the history of Texas.
2020.
And 2020, okay.
Yeah.
And a few days later, they had the next board meeting, and 5 people showed up. We've got, 55 here today. That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
And where are the people that caused all that? Not any of them here.
You done?
Done.
Thank you. Michelle.
I put an excellent, I just.
Oh, you want to give her your pad? Got it.
Yeah.
Got
Well, can I use that 3 minutes real quick?
it. Sure.
I also have the equation to do the equity buy-in fee. I crunched the numbers, and based on the 2022 numbers, our equity buy-in fee is supposed to be $6,000.
We're getting more than that. We'll talk about it at the end.
But you have to use an equation. You can't just pull it out of the air. So just want to make sure you knew that.
Knew that.
I would bet anything 2023 numbers are going to make that equity buy-in fee higher.
Yep.
So we have not been pulling in the money we should.
Yep. Talk about it before the meeting. Danny. And Juliana. Unless somebody wants to go to your.
Oh, no, it's fast. I wanted to apologize to everyone at the town hall. I lost it. Two things. I guess it was Ann Hannafin that asked about the brakes. We sat in this room and videotaped George Burris when they put that fire hydrant in, and Patty asked, we're not equipped to even handle that fire hydrant. He said it could go off flawlessly or it could be catastrophic. And he explained it, the vibration, the hammer effect, the pressure coming out of that fire hydrant, and when the pressure goes down, it builds back up, boom. And the leaks, that's these leaks down on the ground. I suspect it's no coincidence that at the same time they were taking water, I would like to see that fire hydrant capped. That's just me personally until we get our infrastructure upgraded. because the other day, they went out down there and flushed it, and there was a break. Then the last thing is I wanted to say, we should never forget who did this to us the last 4 years. Patty, Josie, Renee, Dick, Bruce. I mean, we have taken a beating in the public, hence a little bit of agitation occasionally. Never forget, you can forgive those people, but never forget who did this to us. None of them are in this room. You know, we sat here for years trying to explain what was going on, and they published the WWC newsletter just besmirching all of us. They have a whole website set up for Patty and I. It's insane. We didn't do anything except for look out for this community. We've lost money. Patty and I mean, we got an attorney bill coming due real soon. It's on us. Anyway, don't forget who did this to us. They will never look out for this community. And when we leave, and we will eventually leave this community, somebody else needs to remind the new people coming in, because the one on the corner, that's what her job is. She just convinces the new people she's great. And anyway, that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Julie Newman.
Alan, did you want to say something?
Yeah, he gave her time.
I was going to give my time to Sally.
Okay.
Anybody?
Good.
We've completed the comments?
Yes.
Excellent. In your members' packet, there was the draft of the member minutes from April the 15th of 2023. And Marvin gave me a call and chatted about it and things like that. So those draft minutes are typically the kind of thing that should be sent to each of the members to be able to peruse. They are draft because at the members' meeting, then there is discussion about those, just like at a normal board meeting for the board minutes. And they can be updated based on input that coming from the members, and then it's a voice vote from the members as to whether they're approved or not. Okay? That's Robert's Rules of Order. I gave two people books that they wouldn't read, but that's all.
I had one minor change, but I forgot to bring it with me. I think it's something that's, you know, life-altering, but I
Okay.
can't remember what it was.
And Marvin, you requested for us to, for the notation for again, what I'll preempt a little bit of the discussion right here. It says, at that meeting, I was told by Richard Schaefer that since he was the Secretary Treasurer, that he would be taking those, even after I offered to start. So in the last month and a half, I asked him 3 times to provide those draft minutes, and they didn't. So I worked with a video that is what Danny had to be able to put those together. And again, they're certainly flawed, and Martin has requested that be notated that his comments are anonymous, and that will be going into it. So are there other updates that they're going into that? Who did not read get their mailing packet? There were probably 5 or 6 that had to request duplicates, right, from Frank? Yeah, one. Good. Okay, no sweat. So as they were, are they approved? Yes, sir.
Please. Renee has mentioned my name. I read the draft minutes, and I called Renee for 2 reasons. Number one, I didn't understand why it was necessary to identify people that might have had something to say at the meeting. What they said was fair game, but who said it seemed to me to be irrelevant. So when I saw the draft, I suggested to Renee that maybe in the future that you not name people individually, certainly mention what they might have said, but there were many people that spoke, yelled out of the audience or did whatever they did. Their names are not in there. That's fine, I understand that. The other thing that maybe he didn't make quite clear was he indicated that I thought that perhaps the attorneys that had been used were dishonest. I did not say that. I did not say that they weren't honest, and that's what I wanted him to change. Now, maybe you changed it, maybe you haven't. You haven't told
Yeah,
me.
it is.
Okay,
I was
so we changed the draft for that, and I thank him for that.
Great, thank you, Margaret. And the collection of the inputs is the point here. So are there other updates that need to go to those? Because I'm making notations of those changes. I have yours.
All I request is the minutes are correct, because over the last 4 years, I looked at the minutes, and that it isn't what happened in meetings, hence why we started taping.
Right. And as it turns out, let me add a little bit more about the minutes. State law says clearly that videos are authorized for minutes of governmental agencies, of governmental stuff. In fact, on our own website, we have 7 sets of minutes that are video there. There was a bit of consternation that when I offered to the board the fact that the minute structure should be a simple form that says what the date was, where we met, what was the attendance, the election elements, and again, House Bill 2840 talks about the comments are required to be heard and they are supposed to be responded on. And in the past, unfortunately, they weren't. So maybe that's the reason, go into a little more detail on it. But within each one of those summary minutes is authorized to put the video reference to it. And my proposal is, and we'll be touching base with the new board, to use that as our format so that you've got an outline of what happened, when it happened, what the votes were, and then if anybody wants to see the detail, they can look to the video. And so that's the reason for doing that. And so that's the reason why this one's that way as well. Good. So with those corrections, it will be updated, and then those minutes will be posted on the website. Another small point, that's actually jumping from something that Joe Jimenez was angry about, that minutes were not provided, have not been posted for the board minutes, and as it is for the first 3 board meetings, I worked diligently and built detailed minutes. And since we were a minority on the board, those minutes that were prepared diligently were not approved. As a result of that, I kept taking notes because the state law says you must take notes. But interesting enough, our bylaws and the state law do not require them to be posted. That's a little crazy. So that's one of the 25 elements that's going to be built into the bylaws when the committee works on those. They're going to say when they're going to be posted. The proper way, looking at other water supply companies on their minutes and that go into their bylaws, they actually state that draft bylaws from the annual members meeting will be posted as drafts on the website within 60 days. And then they will be analyzed and voted on at the next members meeting. And that's the right way to do it. So it's fresh, the draft is available, and then they're voted on by the members. So that's a second point that's going to be going into these bylaws. Good. So thanks for that. And again, so with the notations for the changes to the supply draft minutes that were put in your pocket, is there a motion to approve? Good. A motion a second? Good, okay. A vote for approval by voice? Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you for doing that. I don't know if that was ever done in the past.
Yeah.
What's that
Allowing
motion?
members to do minutes.
Probably.
We feel included now.
Meeting over? But verse 2 of Kumbaya is coming next. Good. But I was, again, I'm new to this job, and I was a little appalled when I read the agenda for the April 15th members meeting that last year's. The point was on it that the board would vote to approve the members' minutes.
Can't do that.
And I fell out of my chair. Just can't do that. And
It's over.
We're
moving on.
good.
Moving forward.
So, now, item 6, updating the reports to members. And again, so since Jeff has been basically our vice president for operations, if you would you address that?
Oh, yeah.
No sweat, exactly, yeah.
So everybody's been aware that obviously George left in the middle of January. Since then, or since September 17th of this last year, he brought in a new service provider to help him out because Corex had left him. They're AWR. We really like them. I've met with them probably about 8 individual times just to understand them, go through their operation, how they report, let them know the chaos that we have. Renee and I have had several meetings with them, and we've been under temporary contracts with them for providing our services. They run our water plant and our sewage treatment plant. They're the guys that you see in the AWR trucks. You call their offices and such. They have a full program to do not only operations, but also for billing. And we'll talk about that more at the board meeting coming up. But as far as operations, we're still producing very, clean water. And same with our sewage. They will be, as I indicated earlier, they will be coming in a March meeting, which we'll probably schedule, to give you a full analysis paralysis of what they've seen over the last 6 months about our plant. And they have some concerns, obviously. They're coming in new. They manage about 8 water utilities around the area and within Spicewood over to Austin and such. So they're very familiar with this. They've seen water plants. They've lived in them. They have an engineer on staff. This is a PE, a professional engineer, who's come out and looked at our operation. They're going to ask the company to invest some money into doing a more detailed operational audit, which is one of the things we talked about, one of the things that I suggested way back when. And they want to do that because they see some shortfalls, especially with our piping, where we want to spend some money, and also hopefully a 1, 3, and a 5-year plan that they will put together for us to get our plant up and running. I think at our last meeting they said that we had with them in December, they were like, or January here, they said, we're surprised you guys can process clean water out there. Seriously, that's kind of what they said, and I'm not lying because Renee was right next to me, after their work. But they'll bring us around. They're very excited working with us. We're working with, Renee and I have been working with the president as well as the founder, Hal Landon. They're very accessible. They will come to every meeting. Every board meeting, they will present the operational report to the board. It's in their contract. They're contractually obligated, and they have a full set of reports that they're going to talk about when they're here, and only in March. So go ahead, Ken.
Jeff, is this the AWR out of Austin?
Yes.
It's not the big giant?
No, it's a small little organization. Austin Water Resources. They're off of B. Caves Road. Yeah, small. Question?
Do they believe we should cap the fire hydrant meter?
We've asked that question. It's still under review. It's still under review.
Water hammer can travel at 3,000 feet per second.
Yeah.
We got an old system.
Yeah.
It'll eat it up.
Yeah. They're going to look at that. We talked about it at our last meeting. So they're going to look at it. They don't understand why it's there. Fire hydrant could be good, and so on and so on. Yeah. We understand that's why we're slowly getting more and more involved with that. You got to remember, they were managed by George up till the 13th of January. So now that they're managed under our contract. We're going to talk about their contract at the board meeting as well. So as far as operations, they're very comfortable. They're up and running. I don't have any operation reports because they're going to do it for us in March. I'd rather have them speak to you because they're the ones who are going to be carrying it forward, going forward. I know that their response times have been pretty good. They send out the notices when they have a water break. Boil water, that comes from the president. Her name is Tammy Hager. And then it goes to Lori, and then it gets published out to us. So they're working through all of our issues and trying to commingle with us. I think over the last 30 to 45 days, we've integrated them more than what George was doing in the past, because George kept them contained, which shouldn't have been done, because this is what they do for a living. Like I said, I think we're the 9th. Renee, are we the 9th one they're bringing on board? I think we're the 9th utility in the area. And they do like, not Ridge Harbor, what's the
place?
They do Austin Country Club. They do that area down there. They do some sections in Spicewood. They have Rough Hollow. That's what I was thinking of. They do Rough Hollows. They do a bunch. Yeah. So it's a good outfit. It's a good outfit, and you'll enjoy them. Like I said, they present at every board meeting, and one of their goals. I don't know if I shared this with you, but one of their goals, when Renee and I were in there right before the holidays, one of their goals is to get this down to 5 people. They are amazed that there's so many people come to water board meeting. Because their water board meetings are like 5 to 6 people because they don't care because everything's running smoothly. They get water board chaos. So their goal, the president's goal, is to get this down by the end of 2024 to maybe 5 people coming because we're running this thing smooth. So that was a funny comment that she made up totally on her own. Totally on her own. So, questions? Yeah, sorry I don't have more, but you know, I'm waiting for that.
What kind of fees do they charge? Are they domestic?
Yeah, we'll talk about that at the board meeting. They're definitely lower than George's, for sure. We know that. They're definitely lower than George's.
And we're getting some amazing detail.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's for the first time, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
If we're informed, we can in fact
Exactly.
do a better job of linking with them and communicating.
Yeah, it won't be that, they actually force it upon us to present at our meetings. They said, we're not gonna get business with you if we can't tell your water people what we're doing. So I'm like, yeah, unlike in the past where we had to pull it out, maybe he shows up and has a good report. So we'll talk more about AWR's contract at the board meeting.
Good.
Anything else?
Item B is on that is the systems operations, update of projects and strategic plan for 2024.
Yeah. Can we delay that?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
March.
the idea is that the dust is settling,
Yeah.
but we have good confidence with AWR. And as soon as you guys get a chance to meet both Hal and Tammy, I think you'll have the same sort of confidence, which is great. And they have 2 administrative ladies that work in the office that are really very sharp.
We're going to engage them not only operations but also billing. Billing is down the road because we just got to let the dust settle and make this transfer. But they have full billing capabilities as well.
The third item on the update reports, because the update reports are required by state law. There must be a president's and there must be a secretary of treasurer's type report. And the treasurer's report is typically based on profit and loss statements and a balance sheet for the previous year, 2023. As it turns out, I'm going to say that because this organization has never had an audit, and in the process of building a proposed budget for 2024 that took at least 1 or 2 minutes to build, and that will be discussed in the board meeting then immediately following. I've put together a single sheet that just talks about financial situations. So it would be wrong to give you an idea that there's a valid profit and loss statement or a valid balance sheet, because up to now nothing's been valid. So I just wanted to pass that on. And then the budget and the financial status will be something that's going to be addressed in this next little board meeting.
Hey, Renee?
Yes, sir.
I know that most people probably know this, but can you tell them that the CPA bolted?
Oh, absolutely. There was this very, very nice vacuum sound on January the 13th, because simultaneously with George slamming shut his thin book of records and credentials for us, Tim Norton, the CPA organization out of Marble Falls, decided that he and his crew were not going to handle it. So they've backed out.
Yeah, and I think they gave us like 5 days, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we met that Friday, and he gave me a page. Well, it says Bill Billingsley, because you're working on a project, no sweat. So Bill went with me, and the amazing Tim Norton passed me a stack of 56 pages that was a printout, and I'd asked for it electronically. And so it took me about 2 hours to go through that to fill in all the blanks to be able to get a budget put together. And to be honest with you, and we'll talk about this in the next one, they've actually presented us an invoice for $800 for services provided in that 5-minute meeting. And I'm not going to say that Hades is cold, but it is going to be very, very cold in Hades before that gets paid.
I thought we lost it somewhere.
No, we'll put it up on the board anywhere. You want to deal with shyster accountants? Call Tim Norton. His name's on the bathroom wall. I'm sorry, I didn't say that. I really didn't say that.
So we'll talk more about the replacement and the annual meeting, right?
That's correct. But you're right, and Danny's question is right. We need to scramble for a replacement of auditors.
Also the CPA that did the taxes bolted too.
That's correct. Exactly.
The auditor, the CPA, and a tax guy.
Raven here, and all three. But
in 1 week.
One person in that office, though, is basically at least human. And this lady who was at the lower levels doing the stuff, and she realizes that they're in the wind as well, because it's extremely unusual for any firm doing taxes to get statements that over the last 3 years with PUC were known to be very, very questionable, and then building the tax filings for it. In fact, the tax filing that was filed for the operating year of 2022, it's an interesting 990S. I've done those because I do those for Tennis Village, which is part of the stuff that I volunteer on. The person accountable is listed as Richard Schaefer, and that's absolutely legal all day long because he's the president current. Within the organization structure on the 990, there are probably about 40 questions, and 5 or 6 of them are really dangerous ones that have been mismarked. And the listing of the officers listed me as the #1 person of the Secretary-Treasurer for the board on 2022, and I wasn't even elected.
Yeah.
And so the rest of the stuff. So other than those few points, it's valid tax filings.
How about a GoFundMe page to repay the flunkers for any kind of charges?
I like that idea, as in fact a couple of church mouse have talked to me, and we're going to touch base on the board meeting for that, because the board does have, by surprise, some discretionary funds that can be used. And I'll address that. And Patty, wait, cover your ears, Patty.
Don't do that, because I'm all about.
Patty, cover your ears.
A paralegal.
It's not to you. It's to the ratepayers organization.
Okay.
That can be done.
If I may, just
Yes, ma'am.
make a suggestion. I know you guys have a new CPA. Hopefully it's someone with experience in utility accounting. It's extremely important, and we realized this through the 4 years in the rate appeal, is it's not just doing your books correctly, it's coding things correctly. And, you know, Marvin, you're an accountant, CPA, you got to code things correctly, and that's not what happened here. Things weren't coded correctly, and so when we were looking at accounts to see, that was our biggest difficulty in the PUC rate appeal, is understanding why so much money was allocated to this, because typically over the years it never was that much. So moving forward, we just have to make sure that...
Absolutely right. The first discussion with Tim Norton at their office, Bruce Sargent was available and pulled him in. We sat down across the table, and I asked Tim Norton, I said, Tim says, you understand that this is a nonprofit organization, and our books are being reported as being cash, and yet we've had for the last 3 years significant accrual Passover and things like that, so it should be accrual. And so actually, before I asked that question, he says, is this about cash or accrual? As we were sitting down at the table. So, newsflash, he knew it. The other thing is that the nonprofit organizations, interesting enough, by the Texas Business Operating Code, it's called Chapter 20 is general, Chapter 21 is for profit organizations, 22 that Patty has been referring so frequently addresses only nonprofit organizations, which we have to be, and it says clearly in language that we're required to do our accounting by generally accepted accounting principles. Okay, so the profit guys can do other stuff. We don't have that flexibility. So that's and typically when doing these things, in previous life we used to do some of this stuff. Doing that is that typically you look towards whatever the IRS reporting is required, and you roll that back into what's called a chart of accounts. And our chart of accounts have been wrong ever since day one. Okay, so if the chart of accounts are right, and Marvin, you'll be with me on this one. If they're right, if the booking is done correct, then typically you just get a printout and fill in the blanks and drive home. Have a beer, Miller time, right? Not here. Anyway, so I'm sorry. We're good. Good. So, with your permission, I'm going to say that probably enough has been said about the financial stuff, and the 2024 budget that's going to be suggested. It will be addressed in the board meeting immediately following. But it's coming. Item 7 on the agenda are election results. And as it turns out, Frank Riley has provided the fact that as a result of the position for the resolution, and wait, I've got a copy of it someplace. Yes. It's a requirement that this resolution has to be read into the record, okay? And at point 7, when we're talking about the election results, this resolution is required to be read here, and it's required to be posted at the corporate office. And so it was posted at the corporate office at about 9:15 this morning, no sweat, so it's on the wooden fence. And it's very simple. Whereas Windermere Oaks Water Supply Company posted notice of the opportunity back when for the 2 positions, whereas only one person submitted an application for the number 4 open position, thus created an unopposed election element. Whereas candidate Judy Miller is unopposed for election to the office of Director Place 4, be it resolved that the Board of Directors declares elected to position 4 Judy Miller. The Board of Directors orders that this resolution be posted at the corporation's main office and read into the record at the corporation's annual meeting pursuant to the Texas Water Code, Section 67. So let it be written, so let it be done.
Does she get to see it up there now?
Yes, exactly. Come on up, please. Yep. Good. Based upon the report that has been officially signed, and it's required by state law, it's also in our election procedures that we're doing properly now for a while, explains that for position 5 is that as a result of Jay Lefevre's withdrawing from the running, so the election for position 5 is that Julie is elected for position 5 as well. Okay, good. And as a result of the resignation that Richard Schaefer tendered to us a couple days ago, we have an element on the board meeting because by the bylaws, the board has the authority and the right to fill vacated positions. State law says that they must do that within 60 days. And it's incumbent upon the board members, interesting enough, to do the nomination, and for people who are coming new on it, just so that you'll know that you're now admonished that within 60 days you must take a Texas Open Meetings Act certifying course, and I'm going to upgrade that a little bit. The Attorney General did an amazing job in 2022 and printed out and published a document that's a PDF that anyone can pull down. And it's really, really remarkable how to run governmental meetings for the open meetings requirements, okay? It's actually beautiful. Unfortunately, the lawyers, Lloyd Gosling, have not read it.
Sorry, I missed that.
Either way, so you ladies do know that you're on the hook now. And one of the things that we will be talking about at the board meeting as well, there's several positions, several activities that have not been done or been done pretty casually in the past. One of them is records retention. And George was appointed to that probably 6 years ago. And in the May election meeting for the board, I made a point of bringing that to the surface because George was identified previously as the person accountable for records retention, and it was within our tenure that we got a chance to battle and mention. Sadly enough, those records have not been retained, and we will be working hard on them. One of the things that we'll talk about later in the board meeting is the mechanisms of the audit. And one of the requirements of PUC is in writing that 2023 must be audited, and those records have to be presented to the PUC. So as a result of the auditor, again, the auditor organization was very qualified, that's done work in the water company as well. I had to do, looking at probably about 15 different folks, and I gave that spreadsheet to Richard anyway. We signed a contract with an organization out of Killeen, but they went radio silent as a result of, in my humble opinion, external contact coming to them and telling them not to do anything. So as a result of that, the organization has the accountant, the CPA organization that we will be working with, actually has a completely separate branch that does audits and tax, and so we've initiated that they are will do that for us. And one of the documents that the board will get a chance to see is the preparation for the audit, all the requirements that are necessary. So that'll be something that we handle in the next one. But it's also going to be, and the nickname for that organization is going to be called MBB, because their real name is Montemayor Bender Britain. And that's a mouthful, so we'll call them
international.
MBB. Yeah.
Well, they got a Texas draw though. Absolutely, they totally do.
Just to pass on some information, if we truly want to move forward with getting a grant, because they are out there, I do know that one of the requirements is that you do have to do audits. You have to do yearly audits. So just to qualify and do the paperwork, you have to be able to point to previous audits. So
absolutely.
Keep that in mind.
No problem. To build on that, the 3 loans that the organization has open now with CoBank, and it's relatively good terms, but not as good as the USDA. However, one of the resolutions that will be signed in the board meeting immediately following is a resolution to transfer the individuals who will be the prime contacts and accountable for that. And the T's and C's, terms and conditions of each one of the CoBank loans is a requirement that every one of their firms, the larger ones, is required to provide an audit, and it goes back to CoBank. And in PricewaterhouseCoopers is in fact their accounting organization. So they found me this last through 3 weeks, and it was a little hard because I needed to do the responding for the questions, although Richard had all the rights to do that. So we got that figured. Yeah, no sweat. But all the loans that we've had with CoBank, they waive the audit for small firms based on the annual reports that are submitted and filed to them. Sadly enough, that we know that there's severe questions about the last 3 annual reports from property because of the PUC, thankfully, going to that very deep. So again, we've got to clean up the act.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Because one of the things I want to know is that line of credit that was extended from CoBank, is it maxed out? I'm just asking.
I don't know enough about a line of credit.
Financial statement.
Yeah, exactly. What I will be providing is the balances on those 3 loans and what has been paid. And I don't know if any one of those is a line of credit. I do know that a couple of them are based on capital background. So the original filing documents are again, not been retained, but we'll get those from John DeLuca. Another curious thing that I passed to Patty a little earlier. We were elected April the 15th, 23. Tuesday, I said, well, I need to find out about what CoBank is happening since, quote unquote, I'm supposed to be aware of this. So I went through the website to get to the gentleman, John DeLuca, and when we connected, and he explained that just the day earlier, Joe Jimenez had called him and required that John DeLuca modify the T's and C's accountable with the notations of Richard Schaefer and Dorothy Taylor to be the accountable individuals, and to send those documents into Mr. Jimenez.
This recently?
No, this is last year. This is Monday, this is the 17th.
Yeah, this way.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So the blood drain, and so then Mr. DeLuca was glad that I provided my name and contact so we could do it properly. And even the resolution, because as the board changes, we have accountability for keeping the records straight for that, even though it was initiated with a, so we have to sign that. And we need to, in that signature, say that we are accepting the original terms and conditions. And so it's on this resolution that we'll see second. Good. Other questions and comments about the election?
Jamie, did you have a question?
No, I was just going to say that there was a stipulation put in the CoBank stuff because some pesky member was sending John DeLuca information.
Yeah.
He put a stipulation in that money could only be used for capital improvements.
Yes.
And I don't believe that that's what they intended on using that money.
We don't know.
No,
We're
we're
not.
not.
All right.
Any other question?
Are you all in control of the bank accounts, the checkbook, and the website, so they cannot change all the passwords, so they have no access to it anymore? And any attorney calls that they make, we don't have to pay for.
Well, that's one that we've
We're
got.
going to talk about that.
But that's a great one. With Richard's resignation, I walked in a letter to First United that was signed by both of us because it needed to have 2 directors on it, removing the signatory people on that. So we've shut that
We
off.
did that one Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we did it Friday.
Yeah.
Because we got Rich's Thursday, so we went right into cutting everything down.
How much do we owe?
In what areas?
Personal gratitude, money, you know.
As it turns out, Julie's done a great job in organizing some forms, and my notes for that answer are on the table.
We'll talk about the next board meeting.
We'll catch it just a little later, but thanks for the question. It's very right.
Let's just close this agenda and meeting and get into the business meeting.
Could do that.
Let me walk through quickly to make sure.
What else you got?
Oh, yeah, the election results. Closing comments, well done, you're reading it. The meeting is eligible for adjournment. Any comments? Yes, sir.
Move to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
I hear a motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, stick